Gearbest have kindly sent me the HUBSAN Nano Q4 SE, also known as the H001. It's a cracking little box, actually quite a large box for what we're going to get inside. This one is really tiny. Let me just open that up for you. And there you go, look, they've even done the boxes so it sort of guides your eye into where the actual quad is, because it is so tiny. Look, I mean, just literally smaller than my thumb. It would just sit on the end of my thumbnail there, I think. It travels around in its own little transmitter, and I like this design. I've had a load of this sort of similar design from FQ777, and I find them brilliant because everything's on board. You just pop it in your pocket. You've got a reasonable transmitter as well, and the quad's nice and safe in there as well. You get a spare set of props with it. I mean, again, everything's going to be tiny on this. I won't keep banging on about it, but it really is small. Even a small instruction manual, which just literally takes you through the basics. Now, this is a basic flying machine. There's no camera on it, no altitude hold, no Wi-Fi, no GPS, none of all that, but loads of fun. I'm pretty sure it's going to be. Charge it up very simply, and again, I've had this with several Hubsans. Pop this into the back of the actual quad, plug this into either a power bank or into any sort of mains adapter for USB, your computer, or even in your car. Charges up in about 15 minutes and you get a few minutes of flight. To me, that's a result. Okay, a quick run around the transmitter itself. With this system, you turn on the quad first of all, and then we get flashing LEDs. As you can see, we've got red at the back, blue at the front. And then we turn on the transmitter. You get a beep off the transmitter, and then it goes down to flashing LEDs at the back only, and the blue ones go solid. You go up and down on the throttle, and then we're bound, ready to go. Now this is a Mode 2 style throttle, so this is your throttle, as you can see. Push this up and the quad will ascend, pull it down and the quad will descend. There's no altitude hold with this either. If you pull the throttle right off, as we've done there, you can see the motor stops spinning, so it will literally drop out of the sky, so it really is down to you, the flying. If you move it to the right, the quad will rotate to the right, move to the left and the quad will rotate to the left. Push this forward and the quad moves this forward. That's called pitching forward, pitching backwards, and you can roll to the right and roll to the left, so it literally does that. That's with the quad's orientation. So if the quad's facing towards you and you press forward, the quad will come forward towards you. It's always like where the pilot would be sitting looking out of the quad. This also has headless mode on it. If I press this button down here, you see we get flashing LEDs at the front. That means we're now in headless mode. And because we bound this all in this orientation, all facing that way, if I press forward now, forward is always away from me. No matter what angle the quad's at, it will always just keep going that way because that's forward. In headless mode, there's basically no heading. Same for backwards. If you pull it back towards you, it'll always head back towards you. Go to the right or go to the left. It doesn't matter in what orientation it's going. To cancel out of that, you simply press that button again, and that will cancel out there. If you want to go into high rates, you simply press this one here, and it beeps twice. That means that we're now in high rates. Press it again, it drops back into low rates with one beep. And if you hold this one in, we get constant beeps, and then we choose what direction we want it to flip in. So, and it flips quite well and very fast. So, basically, you have to hold that in for a couple of seconds, and then that bypasses the fact of it going into headless mode. You've got trim buttons here. So, if you need to trim it at all, because if you're flying indoors or you've got absolutely no wind outside, you might need to trim the actual quadcopter. First of all, I would check it because it might need calibration. And on this one, you simply pull this one down and to the right, and you keep going back and forwards until you get flashing LEDs, and that calibrates the gyro. It must be set somewhere level, and don't move it while it's doing it. But like I say, if it was constantly drifting to the right, and no matter what way you turned it round, it was always drifting to the right as far as the quad's concerned, you can use this button to adjust it. So you would push it to the left, and this adjusts whether it flies forwards or backwards. But always try and do it with the calibration first of all, because if you get that right, you shouldn't really need the trim on. That's me done. I'm off to fly. Okay, so it's a miserable dark day, so I'm just going to tune myself up with a flight with this very bright looking little HUBSAN. And where we are, we're away. That's in low rates. It's sort of got a little Weibo noise about it from, was it Flubber, wasn't it, was Weibo, I think. Pretty good. So that's in low rates, that's in high rates. Well, it actually gets a bit of a move on as well. Really smart. Wow, it really does actually.
those LEDs are brilliant, mind you. Like I say, it's a pretty miserable day. Lovely and controllable. So to put it in headless mode, simply press that one, and then that way it's always forward, backwards. It doesn't matter what orientation the quad's in. Right is that way and left is that way. So that's just headless mode. I don't recommend you do it, but it's there if people who want it. And you get the flashing LEDs at the front. Press it again, and then it's cancelled out of headless mode. So we're now into normal flight mode. And I'm going to press this and hold it down for about a second, and then get a beep 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 beep, and then it flips. It's really fast at flipping, actually. Cool. Oh, you can do manual flips as well. I didn't want to say it while I was trying to do it. Oh yeah, oh dear. Obviously not always good at manual flipping. It is a tiny quad. Tigger, he's off. Just going to rebind that back up. That was a bit unfair really, wasn't it? We're off again. So that would have gone back into low rates. And range. Are people interested in range? That's about 30 metres. And yes, I've still got control. Whoa, it does get a shift on actually. And it is lovely and controllable. Really nice. You could just do like anything with this, like I said. Yeah, a lovely manual flip. I'll just try my little test with it for the... oops. Seems to be every time it sort of stops suddenly, then you need to rebind it, which isn't really too much of a problem. You wouldn't normally be crashing it, I'm sure, if you weren't testing it the way I am. Oh, there you are. And all you have to do is turn the transmitter off and on. You get the flashing LEDs ready to bind up and down and bound and back in first as well. It's just gorgeous, I love it. Right, okay, so I'm just going to try it, see what happens. I know the motors keep driving no matter where, so that is pretty good actually. So it should manually flip, and then, oh, it needs to be in high rates. Yep, it manually flips, no problem at all. Whoa! There's a sort of cutout thing that seems to be happening with it. Probably because I'm manually flipping it, I would imagine. It hasn't done it any other time when I've been flying. So I'll just show you that again. All you have to do, turn off the transmitter, turn it back on again. We go back into the ready for binding, up and down, and we're off again. So I won't do any more manual flips. Oh, you see my breath now as well. This thing is awesome, really good fun. Oh, should I give it the 50 metre test? Oh, don't be silly. Really? It's still flying away. Oh, that is, yeah, that's got to be 50 metres there. Just on, that's crazy. Got flashing LEDs means that it's we've got low battery warning, so I don't blame it. It's about 2 degrees today, so it's a little bit nippy, and this thing is just great. I love it. Oh dear, I am one for trying to manual flip it when it really don't want to manual flip. But as you can see, no damage done to it whatsoever. Still flying as good as anything. Don't even need to calibrate it. So there we go. Oh, we got the LEDs to stop flashing as well. That's rather good. A very nice little quad. And you'd just be able to control this anywhere, wouldn't you? Just so tight and precise on things. There we go. Giving it full throttle, it's not really doing a lot now. So it's that's it. The battery's just about gone, I would say. I'll just leave it till it runs right out. But that is really good. I think we've had a pretty good flight time out of that as well. And do you know what? That's brightened me up on a very miserable day in the Highlands.
Okay, so what do I think of it? Do you really want me to do a summary on this? You probably got the impression. I loved it to bits. It's great fun. If you manually flip it, and sometimes it could just drop out of the sky. I don't know why, it just did. It's not really built for manually flipping, but I've done no damage to the quad whatsoever, so I'm quite happy with that. I had a couple of incidents indoors as well. If you clip something and it drops, all you have to do is just rebind it. So just turn the transmitter off, turn it back on again, and you're away again. So I have no issues with it at all, and when you manually flip it, if you get it just right, it's really nice and quite rewarding as well. Done a video on how to do that. There'll be a link down in the description for you. I think it's great. It's under £15. I think it was about £14. And if I can get a code from them, I'll put it down the bottom there for you. Hopefully you'll get it a wee bit cheaper. But if you just want a fun little indoor flyer, really, but a great outdoor flyer, I mean, I've got 50 meters on it. It flies for about 4 minutes. Every time I was consistently getting 4-minute flights with it, and it takes about 10-12 minutes to charge. I mean, really good fun. And it's also in Christmas colours as well. What could be better?